Good. Here we go into round number 1 of these July monthly finals. Capoch versus COINNU, and we are on dry Arabia. French versus Abbasid. What do you think about this matchup, Grubby?
Abbasid was sometimes coined as something a bit of a counter against French because they can kind of turtle up on 2 town centers, spend a little bit less food on those villagers, and use the long-range spears to try and defend against the early knights. Maybe that's why he's trying to anticipate the French in this way. Now, generally about matchups, I'm a little bit less familiar now with who has the edge. But if you look at the ladder statistics that were posted, you can see that, well, HRE isn't doing as good as the pros say they are, and that might just be like a level thing where, you know, your regular ladder Andy who plays HRE is trying to hightail it to Imperial in minute 9 without any units. French, still the highest win rate on ladder, and they're doing quite respectably in competitions as well, but clearly both of them respected HRE enough to ban it out. And we're going to be seeing how this matchup plays out in this first map of this best of 5.
Well, one thing's for certain, whether you've been watching Age of Empires 4 since it launched in October or you're just getting into it, the French are always a strong pick. They've been dominating from the beginning. They've just been consistently really, really good. But we also see the Abbasid dynasty. Now, it's no secret, this is my favorite civilization. I've been grinding this. It's like all I play. I love the civilization. And we've seen them have a lot of action in these last few weekends. Particularly, they've got a little extra boost to their early golden age with getting that 15% bonus earlier on. But it's been a popular option, and of course, you know, you've got your typicals of what might be banned. You don't really see the Abbasid ever being banned, so maybe it's just kind of like a faithful choice for everyone.
And so, you know, Fitzbro, tell us a little bit about that one scout opening. I see you've been playing that as well, and what really does that give you? How does that change your timings? Because you're going to give up some sheep, let's say, stocks. Your sheep stocks are going to go down. Why do the one scout?
Yeah, so for Abbasid, you really, really, really want to, in almost every scenario, try to go for a second town center because they get their cheaper villagers with their fresh food stuff, so that they're half price. So when you've got 2 town centers, you're basically playing the same price that other players are playing for like 1 villager, and you get 2. So by skipping a scout early on, you can age up just slightly faster, and depending on the matchup and what the player's doing, sometimes you've got to put up a little bit of defense, but in a lot of scenarios, you are able to just basically go straight for that second town center and get that up before the enemy even arrives or is just arriving with like 1 unit, and you're perfectly safe to do that. So that's personally why I've been going for it. But I've been, of course, influenced by a lot of the pro players I've seen playing the Abbasid Dynasty, and I see a lot of them do it as well. And the hardest one, I think, is against Roos, because you kind of usually have to go for the second scout, but I even skip it sometimes because I like to live on the edge.
Just feeling naughty. So are we able to get a sheep count at all for both players so we can kind of see how that went? I don't know if the observer has that has the hotkey bound for select all units. Oh, there we go. Fantastic. 14 sheep here for Capoch as the French. 14 sheep that are alive right now. Well, corpseified or alive. And then COINNU has how many sheep? He's got 6. So that's a total of 20. Maybe 2 or 3 would have been eaten by now by Capoch. So there might still be 1 or 2 sheep still not found. That's 14 against 6. That's more than double. So even besides the fact that Capoch has double scout, we can say that he overperformed in terms of sheep finding, and COINNU somewhat underperformed. So a small little lead maybe for Capoch to begin with.
Well, and I think the trade-off kind of is, if you're going for those early expansions with those 2 or maybe 3 or 10 town centers, it's like you're usually going to be dropping it on deer or berries and having food secure. So it's not like the end of the world if you don't get a ton of them. But here against French, now this is a unique matchup. Like, I think this is one of the matchups where early on, your macro has to be on point as the Abbasid, because you know those knights are coming to harass, and they probably have archers right behind them, and they can also go 2 town center just as good as you, and are going to be training those villagers faster and keeping up with you. So this is a matchup you kind of like have got to get that first spearman out and make sure you got your macro on point. If you go straight for that second town center, you might get caught up. Now, he's got berries behind base, so he might, if he wanted to drop a town center there, be okay. But it'll be interesting to see as he's under pressure here how many towns there he decides to go to, or kind of how he fits in this macro. I like he built a wall early on, but walling out his food, unfortunately for now.
So, how would you feel in this position for a bit? And let me sketch it for everyone at this time. COINNU has gone for fresh foodstuffs. He's got the gold ready for Spearman upgrade, which he hasn't used yet. He's got 90, he needs 75. And he's gotten wheelbarrow. So that's where all his gold has gone towards. But 0 stone attribution at this time. He's gone for a barracks, spears, a wall, and a stable. This is what I would normally call an excess of safety. How do you get, quote unquote, back into the game from this very defensive position?
Well, the tricky thing here is, has Capoch scouted all of this? Because if he sees that we've got an Absent player sitting on one town center, he could sit back and drop a second himself. But also, Absent, they are having this food savings. They can afford to spam out an army. As we got our first knight coming in there, but you already see there's several spearmen waiting. But it looks like maybe with the horseman, he's going to try to get on the map, get a little harassment, keep those archers in base. You can always catch them as they're coming across mid-map. But yeah, these are very aggressive walling. I mean, very early on, and I don't hate it. I think it's always good to have a few walls having your back here. Even with all the micro in the world, these French knights can sneak by.
But it is interesting. Walls are breakable, but they'll do a good job of keeping knights out and restricting early movement. But generally, I like to see walls. I mean, they're an investment, right? You lose the opportunity cost of mining with that villager, and they cost wood straight up. So I see it as a delay to the inevitable. If you're using walls to keep out superior forces, eventually they'll break through the wall and they'll still go and kill you. The delay didn't mean anything because the wall didn't fight back and the attacker didn't lose any units. So I see walls as buying time. That may seem simple, but it's important to remember because what are you buying time for? Not for a second town center. Nor is he going fast castle. He's buying time for his own basic units to be made against the slightly superior French units. As we do see an attack on the berries right now, it was a little bit of a skirmish. So is that good enough to defend against the superior feudal army of knight archer with your spear horseman? Or is this just a necessary concession? Uncomfortable, yes, not even leading to great things per se, but you just need to do it or knights will do too much damage. That's the question I'm asking here right now for all of us.
Yeah, we got some horsemen caught up here with the knights as they're going back and forth, but yeah, he does not have enough to really take that engagement, and spearmen aren't close by. And you're talking about the investment in these walls. These are large wall segments. I like to put like smaller ones if I see like a choke that I can easily wall, but I don't typically go for these really ambitious wall segments because like you said, it really hasn't paid off yet, right? It hasn't really bought him. He's still just coming through the front, going around the side. He hasn't walled a whole lot out yet, and if anything, it's cost him wood. But here we go. Archer's going to poke in. Wait, is he going to get a villager here, or did he back off? Oh, he didn't know. He pulled back for a second there, but I thought he might drop a villager. But yeah, those are some ambitious wall segments. I guess over time, he can really turn this map into a maze. But yeah, I typically would rather I typically go risky and just shoot for that second town center earlier on and have like a few units to defend. But I don't know. I'm sure Capoch has like a super optimized French that you can't really wing it against.
No, I'm with you because in my mind, I'm thinking, horsemen, spearmen is eventually the worse army than knights and archers because you don't get as much agency about attacking. And that's a lot of bloody villagers on stone, by the way.
Yeah.
Hold up. Can we just take pause for a second and see this monstrosity of stone gathering here? He who mines the first stone, let you make that first town center. He's going to have enough stone for one TC. Are we aiming for a second town center here? Is that what's going on?
It looks like it, yeah.
He's got so much wooden walls?
He has to be because there's the first answer because we saw him gather that additional amount of stone from there. But yeah, we do have the spearmen engaging with those knights right up on them. The archers trying to micro them down. But I mean, for the Absent, this is always like not. I mean, it stinks he's lost a lot of his army, but he's killed a few knights with a few cheap units. But those knights have survived. Now, chivalry takes longer to get now. It has been the price has been increased, so you're not going to see that coming in as soon as we used to, but they still get it pretty moderately quickly. But there's a standing French army, and the Absid trying to boom up has just lost his army.
Yeah, I don't know how you feel about that. So here we have COINNU, for all intents and purposes, attempting to do an aggressive push out. Offense is the best defense kind of principle. To try and buy time and create a cover, a distraction, really, a mental distraction, if anything, to make that town center. And he's got enough stone for another 1.5 extra town centers, though he doesn't have the wood yet. But is losing that army not debilitating in and of itself? That was not a good trade. I'm not sure that was the play, Fitzbro.
Yeah, I don't think that was ideal. It's not good to be defenseless against these growing knight masses, or like to only half kill these knights if they end up healing up inevitably. Ooh, he's got to be careful. I think he's trying to get a raid, and he's going to hit a... Oh, that really hurts. You know, I honestly think that... I almost wonder, I would love to ask on you about this, was this a fake out? Because like he opened with like that super aggressive, all these military buildings, and then he's like, boom, 2 town centers, right? He just like he put all his villagers on stone, although he's still on 1 town center. Like I almost feel like he was trying to get Capoch to overcommit to whatever strategy he was doing, and then he was just gonna go because everybody Abbasid's pretty predictable, right? Everyone just assumes they're gonna be dropping town centers and sitting back.
But the question is, if you're forcing someone, like if you're faking someone out, and they have a response, and that response also happens to be the best against what you're actually doing. Did you really psych them out, though? Like, COINNU, he's pretending that he's going to do a 1 base all-in with a barracks and a stable. And, maybe, maybe that's not what he's doing, but let's say if. Then what should Capoch do? Make a lot of units. Then COINNU is like, I am attacking into you now with horses and spears, and I would only do that if I was confident that I was going to win, so you should run, right? And Capoch is like, I don't believe it. I'm not buying this. And COINNU is like, well, watch me take down your army then, said the man who lost all his army. So that didn't really work out too. And it might just be a level thing, but, he kind of ran into those knights a couple of times, and he learned the full fury of the French knights.
Second town center being dropped down for Capoch right now. It's definitely like, who knows what's going on over there in the mind of COINNU, but either way, he did fix that wall, lost a villager, but I guess for now he's alive and it's working, and once he's got a 3rd town center going up, so, or I'm sorry, he's still got 2nd. I keep thinking he's gonna drop that 3rd one. He just has that stone waiting for a rainy day.
Yeah, maybe he ran out of berries and he decided to put all his villagers on stone because he feels stone is kind of exposed, and so he just wanted to get the most out of it while he could for a rainy day. Not 100% efficient, but at least logical. And for what it's worth, COINNU is now having a safe gold in the bottom side of the map. Walls have kind of succeeded on most of the places that matter, and COINNU is trying to kind of stabilize. We take stock of the situation. Both have equal supply, equal villagers right now, and Capoch is going to pull ahead until such time as COINNU would maybe decide to add a 3rd town center.
Yeah, I really want to keep an eye on those horsemen of COINNU that have been moving across the map, because he keeps looking like he's trying to go get a raid, but like we saw before, he keeps getting caught up in the knights or whatever it might be. We see 1 knight running around. Of course, these horsemen have just slightly greater speed, so I mean, for me, I kind of enjoy it when I see knights chasing my horsemen, because I'm just going to run around all day. Maybe he can even peel one off and really distract him, but I feel like he's trying to just kind of get Capoch a little bit distracted, maybe find a villager on. You see him checking those deer patches. I think he's trying to see if there's any villagers out there getting food. But yes, that 2nd town center down for French. Both players are basically even right now, and we'll have to. I'm kind of curious if will we see a 3rd Abbasid town center, or will we see an age up? But here we go, a ram for Capoch, getting ready. Just 1 villager doing the ram dance right now.
Yeah, that archer could have actually been making the ram if you build it inside of a clump of units. You can have archers build rams right in the middle of them, and it will not displace them.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah, group them up as small as you can, build it inside the middle archer, and you'll have like another 8 extra archers working on it in the ram's collision size, where otherwise you couldn't,
There we go. That's a nice tip. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Now I see that he dropped an archer, or he has his archery range, but he's added 1 camel in there, which will debuff those knights if when the engagement time comes.
That's great. He's got 2 camels for that camel unease. It reduces both the knight charge damage as well as the physical attack follow-up damage. Loving COINNU's food per minute right now. It's been at about 1,000 for a while. He is putting that into very, relatively obsolete, let's say expensive tier 2 army, H2 army. Doesn't feel like he can quite hightail it to Castle H just yet, where he might unlock some extra functionality, mostly veterancy for all of his units. And right now we're in this tenuous situation where Capoch is holding holding this axe, this threat over COINNU's head, and it's about to come to a head.
Yeah, and here come these rams, and will he prepare to hold it? We see horsemen kind of idling food for Capoch, which is kind of nice, but he needs to focus on his base as those rams are barreling down. There's also something going on the left side of his base. But that's where his army is. Oh, they're distracted while the ram's coming in. And he's probably going to pop that tower very quickly. Those villagers could try to pop out, but will likely die. And I'm a little nervous if he's going to be able to hold this. This is going to be a key moment. Now, there is a nice little choke point there. He could possibly get surrounded or something crazy like that. But I think he's going to have to take this fight as he doesn't want to lose his second town center. He'll just slowly be quite behind. We see the villagers pulled right now, though.
Okay. Villagers going for the rams. Meanwhile, horses and spears trying to get in position on the archers. Horsemen are still doing some naughty business in Capoch's base. We don't see any villagers dropping, so it's mostly idle time, if anything. Right now, COINNU does not have much food per minute. Horses got slain by spears there. Nice job by Capoch. And he's pulling back through the choke, trying to use the choke against COINNU himself.
I can't decide who this choke is helping or hurting at the moment. But yeah, we've got that ram. Looks like one ram died. I only see one left right now, but those knights are still alive, and we just have archers, a few spearmen coming in to reinforce, but Capoch's army just looking so menacing still. He's built another tower. I guess buys him a little more time.
Yep. Our tower can be retargeted on archers, and that's going to help a bit. Now, suddenly with the knights pulling back, presumably for some heal, the trades get a little better for COINNU. For the most part, this didn't look fantastic, but now he's getting some good archer-on-archer solid action. Not quite enough spears to stop the knights here, but he gets a nice kill. One royal knight goes down.
I'm actually really impressed that he was able to drop a tower in the middle of all that action. Like, I'm not sure if I would have done that here in the feudal age. Like, you see it more late game, but like, yeah, he just dropped a tower right in the middle of that giant fight with all his villagers, and it looks like he's holding this. He takes down a ram. I mean, that's a lot of value there. So looking at the villager count when the dust settles, they're both on 68 villagers right now. I guess we can look at the military, 4 royal knights left. So, I mean, that's pretty good for COINNU, I think.
Yeah, pretty nice job. I'm impressed, Fitzbro, with his defense.
Now, food, I think he just, I think part of why we saw a tower is he wanted the food. There, finally, 3 TC, and this could be when he's able to kind of skyrocket ahead. I do see Capoch is out on those deer to the east of his base, and I'm almost curious if he might try to do something crazy like this. But yeah, maybe it gives COINNU a little opportunity here because he could go out and hit some raids.
COINNU's doing a great job diversifying his food income. Sneaking off to the left side, getting those berries after so much has happened. And when people's concentration starts to flag a little bit, is really solid. He's got a tower there for safety, 2 even, because he has a greater number than 5 villagers. You need 1 tower per 5 in order to prevent major villager losses. 74 against 73. It means they've pretty much had similar income for quite some time. They also both have the broad axis and the wheelbarrow upgrade. And then there's that Golden Age upgrade for COINNU. So if you were to measure the amount of resources they have garnered so far till this point, COINNU probably got a little bit more. On the other side, Capoch probably had better army trades, and this has given him a smaller army supply advantage. And Capoch has started his H3 age up right now. COINNU won't follow too far behind because his food per minute is absolutely booming right now. He needs to recognize that there's a small reprieve in the attack and use the opportunity to go to H3, especially now that he's got that call out. Panic, Capoch is at H3.
Yeah, I mean, I think the hardest thing for Absid is usually just surviving this age to pressure you're under. But now Capoch is age 3, and the other challenging thing about Absid, there's no panic slapping down, you know, your castle age landmark. You've got to take the same amount to age every time, and this is a little bit of window opportunity for Capoch as he can get his upgrades and perhaps deal some damage before Absid can even get teched up and do something with it. But he did go 3 towns that are on that, so his villagers going to be healthy. It's not going to be matter if you lose those, so he needs to keep some pressure, maybe keep Capoch distracted in his base for now until he can get teched up.
You're quite right, and he's doing just that, right? With just a couple of horsemen here and there, he's causing a little bit of disruption. You don't want to go near that unfinished mill. Sometimes in RTS, when you do harassment and someone has mismanaged their economy, you're actually calling attention to them to go and fix it. Let's say if he attacks those villagers on the berries, then Capoch would be like, hey, this mill is 99% operational. Let's do that final installment of payment and make sure that we can actually operate in that mill. But COINNU is going to be about 4 minutes behind in the H3 timing. He can gather up units that are upgradables, like archers, spears, and horsemen, but he will not have access to monks. He won't have access to men-at-arms or knights if he wanted to go and make any of those, or crossbows.
Yep, and we see Golden Age Tier 2 was just activated there at about the 20-minute mark. but Capoch looking to go on the offensive here. We see some towers placed as a defensive maneuver. He's just probably going to be sitting back while his age up is going, but this is still going to be a tough fight. He needs to keep those spearmen alive against those knights and just kind of turtle behind these towers. He really likes to use his defensive towers. I know we talk about age of towers like all the time, but I think he's used more than I typically see Abbasid players go for it, and I think it's part of what's helping him here on this defense.
Yeah, I don't mind towers being used in defense. That's their intended purpose,
yeah,
right?
they're defensive emplacements.
Yeah, they're not called offensive winning aggressive emplacements. So some defensive emplacement weaponry. And where are we at with the H3 age up for COINNU? Probably about 10 seconds
Here
out.
come those rams. Look, more towers.
My God, nice. Oh, he's about 20 seconds out. We can see 20 seconds out right now. And then he still needs to get the preservation of knowledge. Fitzbro, would you wait for preservation of knowledge here or just spam that veterancy upgrade?
Yeah, he's got his, I don't know. He's got the resources. That's a hard question because it comes in pretty quickly. I usually get it in, I'll get like one of my blacksmith upgrades in transition and wait here for it. But yeah, that's a question I'm often wondering, but let's see what he does.
Oh my God, it's only 24 seconds.
Yeah,
It's
it's
that
fast.
Golden Age advantage, right? Plus, they, of course, buffed its time from 60 to 30 seconds a couple of matches ago.
Yeah, but he is going straight for the spearman. It looks like he hasn't even gone for it. And honestly, sometimes you just forget. I find myself like getting all my texts and being like, oh, crap. Forgot about the discount. I left the coupons at home. But here we go. We see Rams pushing in and hitting it. He had just built... He didn't just build these, but he's losing a lot of his barracks and his archery ranges, which he kind of needs. Now, is that a mangonel I heard from the back of COINNU's base?
Might be.
He's got to protect that thing. But yeah, that's oh, big hit.
Oh, very nice hit with that mangonel. Good protection as well. It's going to be another shot. Is he going to get a good one? Yeah, really good. He's got about 4 or 5 archers. Knights are going to come in. They actually had an attack command on the house, so they didn't end up doing a charge. One knight gets through to the mangonel, but it's really well protected. The mangonel is slaying the archers.
Mangonels die so quickly to knights now, and he positioned that right between the house and the town center and had spearmen on top of it, and those knights were just dancing around. Their pathing seemed to be like a little bit confused there. But still, it's just archers here. We do have some crossbows, though, helping to work on those knights. But was impressed how much damage he was able to get with that one mangonel, which could have died a lot faster.
Meanwhile, the Rams have absolutely ravaged the base of COINNU, and if I'm not mistaken, he's actually lost all of his veterancy upgrade attempts.
In Tier 2 Golden Age, I'm sure.
Died. Oh, you think he lost Golden Age?
Oh, he still has it by 5. I guess he's been slapping down more.
Nice job. More Rams being built there. Villagers chasing the Rams at this time. Maybe a little bit too far, but there's a lot going on. It's very hectic defense like this. It's mostly knights left. There's been a great job of taking out those archers, and now crossbows and knights will be the key here to try and fend off Capoch's aggression. I think this is so impressive. Abbasid feels sometimes like such an underdog matchup against French because you're constantly defending. But let's also see it from the other perspective. The French player will feel the need to do significant damage all throughout feudal into the next phases because they're being outspent on villagers, let's say. I mean, they don't have discount on the villagers, so they're like, hey, Abbasid economy is insane when I ignore it. I need to deal damage. And the question is Capoch dealing enough damage, Fitzbro?
I'm not sure at the moment because I feel like COINNU can just stabilize here. Look at the villager count. He's ahead by a considerable lead at the moment. He's lost so many military buildings, he can't spend his resources fast enough at the moment. So he's got the res in the bank. Now, Capoch also has a healthy little stock of resources there. We also see those camel riders coming out, which are going to be quite effective. He's got camel riders and crossbows going against these knights. And now I think we might see some Abbasid aggression. I say that as we see a defensive keep being dropped. Maybe not yet.
Great. Keep is going to be a great help here against what Capoch is bringing. And I love that camel rider crossbow combination. There's nothing better that you could possibly find to counter knights. And also, we got to point out, Core is doing a great job at the observing here. He's showing none of those royal bloodlines has been researched yet. Capoch has gone for the new meta of getting, well, I forgot the H3 landmark name, but the one that's not the guild hall. Okay?
The Royal Institute, Yeah,
the Royal Institute is the new meta, getting the Imperial techs for cheaper and faster or whatever during H3 already, but he's not used that Royal Bloodlines upgrade just yet.
Yeah, and so he's kind of sitting back. He's healing up. He's got a decent amount of knights healing right now. Looks like he's getting up his upgrades for his arbitrary. In addition to that, he's still got 2 rams kind of running around. But I've got to feel like we've got a stabilizing Absid dynasty for the first time. Like this whole game has felt like he's just been really pinned down, and we could see him ready to push out here very soon. And those mangonels will do a good job against the crossbows, as I don't see any springolds there to try to counter them. He has the knights, maybe he could flank them, but COINNU's been on point with this spearman protecting his siege so far.
If he keeps that up, it should be great. Only the single mangonel though, so we're not gonna see any like double mangonel fire taking down a whole clump of archers. But still, the mangonel, it is a tactical tool that forces an engagement positively in your favor. It forces someone to leave or to risk losing all their archers. So very, very impressed here with our player from Japan, COINNU, holding like this against an absolute Age of Empires veteran in Capoch. A very exciting first map there.
He might get the tower, but he's going to lose some villagers there. He's running. He can afford them. He's got extra. It's okay. That's part of the Absid Dynasty's plan too. Is like you just have so many villagers at some points. It's just like just throw them at things.
Love the camel riders here. They are not quote-unquote attacking the right thing, but they have of course been made a little better into non-cavalry things with the rework about 2-3 patches ago. Now they're getting some good damage in on the knights. And they have that camel unease working as well. The camel archers will continue to propagate that advantage as well. But look what the ram did. It did kind of distract the crossbows that were on attack move.
Oh man, you have to fight. He was shooting crossbows into rams. He could have like taken out a lot more knights. And now we're gonna have a little bit of a knight surround here on the back line. That mangonel. Ooh.
Did COINNU overextend here? He smelled blood in the water, but whose blood was it?
But I don't know. COINNU's lost a lot of units there. We see a keep being dropped down, so he's not really going to be able to advance that position unless he... I mean, yeah, I think that keep's going to go up. We do have some opportunity off to the left. He could do some raiding if he wanted to. We see some upgraded towers. Yeah, losing a lot of military units, but look at the population right now. 183 for COINNU. Capoch in on 168. A significant villager difference. Look at how much COINNU has, but he's got to do something with it. He's still got this very powerful French army to deal with.
COINNU wants to keep staying aggressive here, Fitzbro. He's got kind of an addiction here, the Abbasid addiction. Maybe Chinese suffer this as well. He's got 11 villagers in production, despite having 142 villagers on the field. Is that a little too much?
You know, he could hit 200 out of 200 villagers. It could be a thing. It could distract the opponent. You know, sometimes you get the best offensive is a good economy.
I think he managed to cancel his villagers finally, so 144 is where we'll stay for a bit. It means he only has 56 army population to work with.
How bold. Farming on Abbasid territory. What did he think he was going to do? Yeah, you can't get away with that one.
Phalanx upgrade has now been started, but it's locked behind something else. These days it's upgraded in the barracks, if I'm not mistaken, the Phalanx upgrade. So it will be locked behind a couple of Spearman production. And there we go, it starts. Finally getting that Spearman bonus range. A little bit late for comfort, but you know, there was a lot going on and it's been an impressive hold. COINNU is gathering up to go Imperial. He's got the resources. Let's see when he clicks up. Being able to hit Imperial, there we go, before French. Yeah, it's really good tidings for him. It's a good omen.
And I mean, for the Abbasid, they've got some of the best late game techs in the game as far as upgrading their infantry, and not to mention his economy is just barreling ahead right now. And I don't know. Ideally for me, like late game, I lean into spearmen and a horseman a lot, which is food and wood, not too expensive to do against gold costing units. But it looks like he's been really embracing the camel rider, so I'm not sure if he's really gonna go for that.
I love it. I love this army composition here from COINNU. A couple of horsemen, camel riders, camel archers, crossbows if I'm not mistaken, and some spears. It's a complex army to deal with. Capoch has a more basic army of spearmen, of basically knights, archers, and arbaletiers. And yeah, COINNU has like 5 different units. Horsemen, he splits them off to try and find some information. He sees
that was a big
gold.
volley.
One mangonel, just one mangonel. So interesting, huh? Not 2, not 3, not the big... just one in order to have a tactical range advantage.
Well, it's definitely easy. These days, especially, those mangonel are so easy to kill that you can invest a lot of resources if you go 2-3 mangonels and then lose them in the blink of an eye. But we say that as he is building another mangonel right now, and we see those Camorais looking to try to stop those knights from coming in for the raid. Though more towers being dropped down, I think he knows what's coming his way.
Just, obviously he's going to lose his villagers here, and that's actually going to put him below Capoch.
Wow.
But the real power here for COINNU would be double blacksmith powering some upgrades, and I think he is doing 2 upgrades at a time. Imperial's reached. Let's see how he can use it.
Yeah, if he's got to do something, and we do see that these are camel. Looks like he's got camel archers in there. I thought a lot of those were camel riders, but he's using all the camel units today. Love to see it. Look at those upgrades. You would think he was playing the deli salt today. You just spam them all.
When you're this rich, everyone is a deli sultan.
I would like to point out at the 30-minute mark, there's still relics out on the map. These players have been so busy chasing each other back and forth, they've just kind of ignored the relics.
Yeah, we saw one relic being picked up by Capoch. A bit of a forgetful moment for COINNU. Actually, a lot of resources being lost there with those camel archers going down. 60 gold apiece, 180 food. Quite expensive.
They didn't finish the mine, so they're
what?
He doesn't know. I don't think unless he. I don't know. Well, and the other thing that they realized. He spammed those towers thinking he was going to finish them and like lost like what were those, like 15 or 20 villagers earlier? Like he lost a ton of villagers out here.
No, I think it was like 10 or 12.
It was 10, okay. And then he spent all his resources upgrading, and it's easy to get ambitious and be like, oh, we're doing great. Let me just spend all this res. And then suddenly you get pushed off like your only gold mine, as we see it on the left side. And then it's like, uh-oh, like look, there's 2 gold mines right there. If he doesn't control this territory, he could suddenly be out of gold.
Yeah, he thought he was a deli sultan, but actually he's not. He's just the son of one, and his parents just decided it's time for him to grow up and get responsible. So the money ran out, and he's no longer living on them. So now he's got to find a job, and suddenly he realizes, hey, real world stuff. He hasn't got any gold, so he decides, okay, let's become a miner. Let's start this mining camp and try to actually make an honest living here. And he has done that, so he's growing up fast. But it does mean that a couple of upgrades are missing right now. He doesn't have the tier 3 golden age yet, doesn't have the level 3 blacksmith upgrades just yet, but he is starting the incendiary arrows. That's going to help quite a bit with the camel archers, their damage output. He's getting a camel upgrade. Is that the armor? The camel armor?
Yeah, I think that's what that is. Man, I think for some of our viewers in chat, that was just like, that was too real, man. That was that hit home for a lot of them.
Sag.
Dodge. Look at those spearmen and archers. Now, those mangonels that he's been crafting would do really nice against this composition if he can protect them. I hear them firing. Oh, he's taking down a keep with mangonel. We do have a bombard going on.
Pretty nice range with those mangonels. Bombard, I do believe, can reach back to those mangonels, which would mean that only trebuchets will be able to outrange without losses. He's spending a little bit too much time filtering in and outside of that keep range, losing some units. Now, he is rich, of course. This is replaceable, and he is replacing. There's culverins coming, there's bombards, the greased axles is coming out, and he's got lots of units in production. And that camel support +2 armor to infantry, together with the bootcamp upgrade he finished previously, is all going to make him have a really good death ball. But the knights are going to come in. They didn't dare to finish the charge.
I held my breath there. I thought he was about to lose all his siege in a blink of an eye, but Capoch changed his mind at the last second. He backed up. Now, one thing to note, since the most recent update, it costs stone to repair your keep. So that is a change we're seeing here. Now, he's had plenty of stone in the bank. He's been fine to fund this, but that is a difference from these stalemates we're used to seeing where people just heal their castles all day long.
I love that change. From the games that I've played and watched, it's been a really healthy change. Stone is even more limited than before with smaller deposits, and yeah, it's been really good.
So villagers caught up by those knights. There's plenty of towers, I think, from the jump into. He just doesn't care or really wants the gold, or maybe he realized he's like, I don't need that many villagers.
You know, you can ignore villager deaths when you are at 144 villagers, and you can ignore them for a while. You can remake them very cheaply, and at some point, suddenly, it's no more fun ignoring it. Suddenly, it starts to matter. You're down to 80 villagers. You're like, I can do this all day. And suddenly you'll have like this economic gap, and suddenly you could be in trouble. But for now, COINNU is still fine with that.
Yeah, we have Culverin going to be probably popping that trebuchet if he gets a hit on that. And I don't know if that was a purposeful like loss of villagers, but I do understand sometimes in this late game when you've got all your techs like he does, and a lot of resources in the bank, maybe he just wants more military population. But we do see a Mangonel getting caught up by that knight, and oh, Mangonel and the Culverin so quickly dying. He's got the camel archers, but he needs spearmen really to stop this advancement.
Yeah, camel archers can shoot down one knight at a time, not enough to save those siege units. That was a very expensive siege loss. Great job by Capoch, really just recognizing when he can move forward and get some serious attacks in with his arbaletier and knight army. And while it seemed like Capoch had been pushed back for quite some time, a look at the minimap shows he controls 60% of the space on the map. He's just pushed out COINNU, and while COINNU is still very rich in terms of gold, I do believe all of his gold rests on that left side of the map where he's exploiting the final gold nodes. Once those are gone, we've got a neutral deposit of gold on the right side of the map. This gold is not going to last that long, and he's doing long distance mining on one of them.
I love to see it. Well, yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like Capoch just set up nice mid with that keep. He's got some siege pushing, and COINNU just lost a lot. Oh, he's in he's one building away from going H3. Core is pointing out there. He just needs one
nice
more
to
building.
Get that H3. It gets you bonus production speeds for your units.
Oh, here we go again. He's gonna lose that bombard to the charge. Yeah,
does have one counter attack, so.
Oh, we see some hand cannons in the mix now.
Who has that? Oh yeah, hand cannons. Okay, that's gonna be pretty good damage coming in. He's also getting veteran. What upgrade is that? Veteran archer upgrade.
Yeah, there you go. He's got his golden age now. You know, if there was like a special award for things, like I think COINNU should win the most diverse army here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think he's trained every unit in the arsenal.
Let's see. He hasn't made a ram or a trebuchet, but maybe we could still get there. Every other unit outside of ram and trebuchet.
Siege tower. We haven't seen that.
Oh, true. Siege tower and Springald. Yeah, not all of the siege units, but every biological unit under the sun has been made multiple times.
Yep. So I like COINNU. He's got his upgrades and he's building his army, but I keep feeling like Capoch is taking better trades and has. I mean, look at the minimap. It does look like it's straight up mid, but that gold is going to eventually run out, and that's going to make this a more dire situation. Although Capoch, I mean, look at his reserves. He's, I guess, doing what COINNU was doing earlier and getting his upgrades, but he's not necessarily has a ton of extra in the bank. But COINNU still has a healthy little bank account there, so he's going to slow siege this, I guess. Maybe the stone will run out.
And COINNU has 2 relics. He just got Tithe Barns, so that's going to take a long time to earn itself back, actually. But, you know, he's getting it ready for the long run. He also has a very short potential trade route set up right now. Bombard is going to have to be pulled back because it's taking cannon fire from that keep. No Tithe Barns yet for Capoch. He's got 3 relics and 2 sacred sites. And that's pretty much his gold income. He's got 500 gold per minute and only coming from those permanent sources. So while he's still using a lot of knights in his army, Capoch is going to have to switch to horsemen at some point. And I even wonder, Fitzbro, that gold on the right side, maybe he didn't scout it.
He didn't scout it. Oh, that's massive. Now, there is a battle on the front line going on right now, as much as we love the gold here. But Knights running in, and we've got... it looks like the Bombard survived that charge. The Spearman this time doing a lot of help. He still lost a Bombard during all of that, but this looked like a good fight for COINNU. I see a lot of dead blue units on the floor.
Yep, and those are knights that are not replaceable very easily. He can make 5 knights per minute. That's it. Just 5 knights per minute from those permanent sources.
Yep, and right now we've got Capoch. He's starting to fall back, but looking at his bank, I don't think he's going to have enough resources as COINNU is just going to keep barreling forward. He still has his mass here, and he could just start spamming units everywhere if he wanted to start really hitting the raid. But look at he's got 2 Culver and 2 Bombards there on the back line.
And speaking of spamming units, what do you think about a 40-minute military academy upgrade?
Yeah.
25% production speed together with Golden Age 3. He's going to be pumping out those units like a trailer park family pumps out new family members. This is great. COINNU is going to get so much stuff all over the map. And Capoch, he does have a good gold bank, but he's gonna have to switch to horsemen, and yeah, he's gonna have to switch to horsemen at some point.
Yeah, we've got, looks like one sacred site down the right side for the Abbasid, but look at the siege just barreling forward. And Capoch, I think the gold, now, he doesn't have the, it's not like he can dip into the guild hall for like 10k gold right now, right? He went up with the Royal Institute.
Yeah.
And that Abbasid army is getting close to the front line. And there we go. We see him starting to take out those buildings. I mean, those are going down very, very quickly.
Getting that camel barding upgrade as well. Let's go. He's getting every upgrade. Might need this. Elite camel riders, +2 armor for camel riders. Fitzbro, I don't see any camel riders, but if he makes any, they're gonna be great.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. I feel like Capoch is just waiting for this last charge of the Rohirrim back here. Here he goes, going around the side, knights and horsemen, but that's a lot of Abbasid spears, and not to mention all of these units that debuff cavalry. I feel like this is just going to be COINNU rolling straight on through, and those traders being set up, which Abbasid have superior trading, but no market wing, of course.
Yeah, he could go H5, of course, purely just to exploit better trade. I mean, that seems like an exercise in access.
They should be allowed to get the next wing, right? China can get all their landmarks. I think Abbasid should be allowed to get that one if they want.
They?
I don't. Can they? They can get it again. I don't think I've ever done it. I don't think you can. I guess I hadn't really thought about it.
Yeah, I believe you can. It just doesn't unlock another age. I mean, I could be wildly out of pocket here, but
it's so funny. I don't know that. You know how much Abbasid I've played? I've never put on an additional wing. I only play them, and I've never added a a 5th wing.
Yeah, just get the 5th wing, man. No, I mean 4th. Yeah, just get a 4th wing. It's gonna be great. You get nothing out of it except the extra upgrades that you could want. No special secret super tech.
Yeah, you shadow tech age 5.
Maybe like the final wing should be cheaper, but it is what it is, and it makes it a meaningful choice. But any trade is good. 51 gold, but there's one knight there. That's kind of clever.
Okay, so as we see COINNU pushing forward, we see a lot of buildings dying right now. Finally, starting to work on some landmarks. Do you think there's any window opportunity here for Capoch? What could he possibly do to turn this around? Is there some way he could clean this army up or hit some massive villager raids? Like, are you seeing anything that I'm not?
God, it's tough. He needs spears to deal with camel riders, but camel archers poop on the spears. And then he needs archers or arbaletiers to deal with the spearmen. And there are no mangonels, so the ranged army seems all right. But this is just such a complex army to deal with that I'm not sure that there's anything Capoch can do anymore. He's put a lot of pressure on, and somehow COINNU survived and thrived. Look at this battle. It's really good micro here by Capoch. His micro has been great, but there's a good defense of the siege as well. Yeah,
it does look like those camera archers on the back line are just kind of getting caught up by those knights. There's one bombard still left, or 2 bombards still left during all this. I think Capoch might actually take this fight, which is, well, he's just going to do okay here, but he lost a lot of knights, and does he have the gold to replenish it?
Yeah, it was a cool tech switch actually into men-at-arms. We kind of under-broadcasted this. The men-at-arms are getting good trades into spearmen. The French men-at-arms, they've got nothing special. They just are. No bonus health, no bonus damage.
Hold on, they got a big feather on top of their helmet.
And they do look the best, I agree.
But camel archers don't do terrible. They do pretty decent against men-at-arms.
Yeah, how much damage per hit are they doing with Incendiary? Is it like 16 damage, camel archers? Don't know if we can get a look on that, our observer, so we know how much piercing there is. Oh my god!
Yeah.
22 damage into men-at-arms who have 8 armor, so he's gonna pierce through with about 14. Really, really solid.
So we see in his camels continue to move forward. Capoch, he had like an okay trade there, but I think the problem is COINNU is just set up so well. And look at the villager counts. COINNU's ahead, but like he could even afford to drop some villagers and go with bigger army if he really wanted to. He has so much food in the reserves right now. Setting up trading too, which Abbasid do so well. And now moving over, I guess, is there a keep on that left side? Is that what he's eyeballing right now?
Yeah, I'm assuming you would want to get your opponent off of the sacred site. So maybe he's like kind of heading there and make sure that really there can be no more gold. At this point, he must be pretty confident that Capoch has run out of all the gold sources. And the question is, had that final gold been discovered by Capoch, would he have been able to find a breaking point? He was taking good trades, but he was unable to really affect COINNU's total integrity of his macro. He killed all those buildings once, but after that, all he was doing was cleaning up units. And, you know, Abbasid's got great trash unit production at this phase in the game. Not much gold anymore for COINNU, but he can fully switch into archers and spears. And, well, that's kind of Abbasid's specialty.
Yep, and in addition to the trash army, we've got the beautiful gold-plated camels. Look at those boys. They look great. I really wonder, is this a game where the game's going to end, Capoch is going to look at the mini-map and be like, oh, shit, there was gold in the corner the whole time. And just like, it's the best of 5, so it's not the end of the world, but I do really wonder if he knew that was there. It seems no.
Yeah, none of them figured it out, and you know, it's so funny. It'd be so cheap to make one scout and check the final fog of wars. You think the chance is pretty low that there's a gold there, but you know, just checking it for posterity. But it's the mental tax right now of doing something like that, even for players this good, to check out that little fog of war that didn't seem important at minute 5, but is so crucial at minute 45.
We have a horseman, one horseman in here raiding. Now, Capoch continuing to hold on while he's been pressured and pressured and pressured and pressured. Resources are down in the hundreds while we have plenty more units swarming across right now for COINNU. You just kind of see a constant stream there. And these camels just seem to not be getting picked up really at all. I feel like you almost would need a mangonel defense, which he just doesn't have.
Yeah, how do you deal with those camel archers? Horsemen, are they even decent against this level of camel archers, you think?
You know, I don't have a ton of like matchups where I'm playing against these like fully teched pure camel archer armies. So like I don't know exactly like as far as like unit on unit, like back and forth. Typically it's like I see mangonel volleys are what ends up being their weakness.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, camel archers, they're faster now, right? They get that camel movement speed upgrade. They should be doing a pretty good job kiting, even against large horseman archer balls, unless you get absolutely 360 surrounded and slam dunked sandwiched by horsemen. So, yeah, not a lot going to take them down. Like you said, probably mangonel would be the best bet. But with what gold? Fitzbro,
yeah, those relics are gone.
Gold?
He just lost his monastery, so that little bit of gold income he had is gone. I don't see any traders out on the map. We see him starting to target down that school of cavalry now with all those spearmen. Yeah, he's making more knights, but as it gets spearmen, what are they going to do?
Not that much, Fitzbro. We're looking at the extended death animation, most likely, if COINNU has anything to say about it. Nonetheless, Capoch did manage to make a 200 population army. He's even got 144 villagers. Much of that is in farming, but without gold, this has got to be it. The final last-ditch effort as Capoch encircles the position.
He's grabbing the relics. Look at that. He's got one. He's got one relic on the right side. He's run away.
He's carrying two right now.
Two of them. The great heist. Oh man, this is insult. Yeah, if he drops down a siege tower right now, I mean, yeah, this would just be embarrassing. But yeah, we've got the camel archers continuing to take out those spearmen, and as this kind of starts to what seems to be lead towards a close here. What do you think was the turning point in this game for COINNU and Capoch? Like I thought early on Capoch was looking quite good as there was some like it seemed like poor Abbasid trades. How did COINNU get to this point?
I think he started preparing. He really played it safe, right? He feels that a situation like this would favor him. French, strongest in feudal, but worst in imperial. He just wanted to get there. I feel like everything that COINNU did, it wasn't like one big landslide moment. It was just a staggered investment in survival. The early walls, the delayed second town center, not greeting for the third town center, the massive attribution to feudal army. Everything showed a kind of quiet confidence in the late game that has led him to this point, to this victory. Just really solid defense, and then finally the unstoppable war armada, counter-production, counter-assault. He inundated Capoch with Abbasid, skullduggery, and he was able to stand triumphant here in this first map of the best of 5.
Yep, 1-0 in favor of COINNU with the Abbasid dynasty, and definitely against one of the stronger civilizations out there right now. So a good performance from him. Looking at these few different graphs there, you can see this military. Like, look at that early game right there for if that military timeline. I just saw this COINNU that's kind of losing some of those trades. You can really like look at that highlight right there. It's like early right there, then right after the 12-minute mark, it looked like Capoch was having some excellent military trades, and then it all changed right there around like that 25-minute mark is Pierce. And then of course when all this text started to come in later on.
Yeah. Really, really impressive. I like COINNU's small attribution to siege investments. He gets like 1 or 2 mangonels sometimes, but never overinvests, so that he remains relatively mobile and uninvested into one bad fight. He can pull back and start again. Very inspiring. I feel like playing Abbasid now.
I mean, he really demonstrated. I feel like I need to go back and watch like a few things he was doing there. I mean, and talk about the opening. Like we're talking about all like the standard like talent center openings, all the different things you can do. Like he was building walls, like it seemed like in the Dark Age, and doing all kinds of crazy stuff.